Joining us from Kingstown is the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, R.Gonsalves. Prime Minister, good to have you with us, sir. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Why have you decided not to go to this summit in Los Angeles?
Fundamentally, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not attending because of the failure and or refusal of the United States government to include all the countries of the Americas, specifically Cuba, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and Nicaragua. It's called the Summit of the Americas. It is supposed to be inclusive. We need to have all persons, all countries, all governments to address the important questions in this contemporary period facing the hemisphere. And I don't see how you can have a hemispheric conversation and exclude certain countries. On this question, the argument by the US authorities that they have lost the argument because overwhelmingly the countries in the Caribbean and Latin America, even those countries which are attending, saying that the summit should be inclusive and not exclusive, and that the reasons offered are not for excluding Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Those reasons are not tenable in all the circumstances. Now, if you would notice that important countries, well, several countries, Mexico and Bolivia and countries in Central America, like Honduras and El Salvador and Uruguay, they're not attending at the level of heads. In the case of Grenada and St. Kitts and Nevis, they're having elections coming up. And in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because of the point which I've just made to you, that the summit needs to be inclusive, that if we are not going in principle, I find it difficult for someone else to go and represent us.
All right. Prime Minister, in addition to yourself then, as you say, the leaders of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Bolivia, and Antigua and Barbuda are all staying away. But
Antigua... Yeah, Antigua is attending.
Yes, but not, as you say, at the head of state.
Grenada and St. Kitts and Nevis.
But what message do you think, Prime Minister, that sends for the future of cooperation across the Americas?
Well, the United States of America and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are very good friends. And friends should indicate to each other when you think that an error has been made. And the United States government has made an error. It is true that they have rolled back recently some of the more egregious follies put in place by the Trump administration in relation to Cuba. But those were done unilaterally. And they don't even take us back to the Obama period. And I was there in Panama when President Raul Castro of Cuba was there. Even when President Trump was in office, Cuba was invited to the summit in Peru. Now we are rolling back the clock in a way which we ought not to. We should have conversations. We have conversations with everyone. We can't be fighting, as President Obama had said, old 20th century battles in the 21st century. And certainly, if you cannot win the argument on the principles of inclusion, the only thing which persons are left to suggest that the presidential, congressional, and gubernatorial politics of South Florida, that's dominant. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines cannot predicate its policy on the presidential or gubernatorial or congressional politics of South Florida.
One final question, sir. The Caribbean, through CARICOM, has had a strong position against the issue of sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba. At least as far as this summit is concerned, is the region now divided, do you think?
No, I think that it's really what is a tactical approach. There's several heads of government from CARICOM who have gone there to Los Angeles, and they will make their voice heard for the principle of inclusion. It's just that I think that the matter is so large a principle that we ought not to have gone, rather than going there and, in a sense, protesting the exclusion of Cuba, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Look, migration is supposed to be a big issue. How are you going to have conclusions about migration when Cuba is not there, when the president of Mexico is not there, when the president of Honduras is not there? I don't see how that's possible. You'll have to have subsequent discussions. So what are you going to have in Los Angeles? A photo op and some general statements. Look, this thing was wrong in the beginning to exclude these countries, and it's wrong today, and it will be wrong tomorrow. We have to include everyone, and we have to resolve these outstanding 20th century problems between Cuba and the United States of America.
Prime Minister, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. That's Ralph Gonsalves.
Thank you very much.
The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.